What's the hardest level in Geometry Dash? To most of you, this might seem like a pretty easy question. But as you'll see, it gets very complicated very quickly, because there are many different definitions of hardest. To start, we have the main RobTop levels. It's not really clear what the hardest RobTop level is, as some people think it's deadlocked, some think it's TOE2 and others even think it's clubstep. Ultimately, it's up to you and your individual skills in various game modes to say which is the hardest, but with the release of 2.2, it's likely that Explorers will objectively be the hardest main level. But, Geometry Dash also has a level editor, in which players can make their own levels. And as you can guess, people have made some pretty hard stuff with this. The catch is that in order to publish a level, you must also verify it by beating it legitimately. The community has created an official list of these custom levels, and the hardest level on that list as of the time of this video is Avernus, a level with some questionable hitboxes. But it's fine. Because the hardest level ever beaten is actually Tidal Wave, a level with around 260 frames per second frame perfects. This level is insanely hard, but it hasn't been rated yet, and the Demon list only ranks rated levels. But if it were rated, it would undoubtedly be top 1. Whatever the case, Zoink is a beast for actually beating this ridiculous level. So, that's it, right? Tidal Wave is the hardest level, hahaha, not even close. You see, like every other game, Geometry Dash also has hacks. Tools meant to allow you to do stuff otherwise impossible. With hacks, people have verified some much harder levels than Tidal Wave, or anything humans could beat for that matter, impossible levels. But, some impossible levels are harder than others, and so we have the impossible levels list. The levels on this list are levels that are technically possible and could be beaten, but their inputs are way too precise for humans to ever beat, often being frame perfects computed at thousands of FPS, meaning that out of, say, 1,000 frames, you can only click on one of them in order to pass a jump, a time way too short for a human to consistently pass. The hardest level on the list is Tax Evasion by Scub. It's hard to tell what's really going on in this level, but at the same time you can tell that it's extremely hard. But, this is not the end. The impossible levels list has some restrictions. Meet the silent levels list. This list has no limitations when it comes to inputs per second, allowing some truly absurd levels to be placed. The hardest level is Back on Track. No, not that Back on Track, this Back on Trad, made by Scub and Corpals. Yeah, this level is pretty crazy. In fact, the spam parts need 189,000 clicks per second to pass. But, even it is not the hardest level in the whole game, and in fact there's many levels astronomically harder than it. Using triggers, you can create stuff harder than conventional gameplay could ever hope to achieve. Meet Touching Grass by Typexlita, a level with a click counter requiring an absurd amount of clicks to beat, specifically this many. And this is the hardest level on the physically possible levels list. These levels are insanely harder than both the impossible list and the silent list. In fact, if you were to turn every atom in the universe into a mouse and have them simultaneously click once every Planck time for a Google years until the heat death of the universe, it still wouldn't be anywhere near enough clicks to beat Touching Grass. You would still have well over 99.99999999999% of the clicks left. But we've just barely scratched the surface. Sure, 10 to the power of 18,000 is a big number, but it's merely a power of 10. An exponential function. Enter, Gagology, the study of large numbers. If you ask a Gagologist how big 10 to the power of 18,000 is, they will laugh at you. In Gagology, we deal with far, far bigger numbers. While I'm not going to be explaining the concepts I'm about to show you, there's detailed info about them on the Gagology wiki, but be warned as they are quite complex. Using some complex mechanisms, which I honestly don't really understand, players have found ways to create levels requiring numbers of clicks of googological proportions. This is exactly what the theoretically possible levels list deals with. Some of you might have at least heard of Graham's number before. Well, the level Expansion Club by Illuminati 65 and Ucarla needs Graham's number clicks to pass. But with the fast-growing hierarchy and the Bashiku matrix system, we can go way beyond Graham's number. The hardest theoretically possible level is Transfinite Void by Illuminati 65 and KH4CB5, a level which needs this many clicks to pass per second. This is a number which is not even worth trying to explain how big it is. There are no comparisons I can make to show how big this number is. Anything that a human could imagine might as well be 0% of the way to this number. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. And as far as possibility is concerned, this is currently the hardest possible level in the game. If we, of course, exclude the fact that you would need to click faster than the speed of light to beat this level. So, is this the end? Well, why would it be? After all these levels technically have a finite difficulty. Albeit absurdly big, but incredibly, astonishingly finite. It's very easy to make a level harder than Transfinite Void. All it takes is a wall of blocks, and bam! You have a truly impossible level. This is an infinitely difficult level. But well, this wasn't enough. As you guessed it, there exists a whole list called the Physically Impossible Levels list. Levels straight up impossible to pass, no matter how much you click or how long you wait, or anything like that. And, even though it sounds silly, some levels are more impossible than others. With that, I present to you, Emptiness, by Euler number. A level that is 42 octillion years long. But what makes it so impossible is that on every frame of the level, there is a crash trigger, making this level utterly uncompletable. So, that about answers the question. Emptiness is truly the hardest level in Geometry Dash.